Violence, ethnic clashes, political instability. How did the Middle East get into this turmoil? The roots of this instability can be traced back to over 100 years ago. By the start of World War I, the Ottoman Empire was already in decline due to years of poor leadership. The Ottoman Turks entered the war in 1914 on the side of Germany and Austria-Hungary and were defeated 4 years later. Prior to World War I, the Ottoman Empire had control of lands between the Mediterranean and Persian Gulf. The Allied powers of Europe saw the defeat of the Ottoman Empire as a way into controlling the Middle East. In fact, 2 years before the end of the war, Great Britain, France, and Russia secretly discussed how they would take control of the lands of the Ottoman Empire. This included what is today Iraq, Jordan, Israel, Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, and Turkey. The treaty between Great Britain, France, and Russia would come to be known as the Sykes-Picot Agreement, named after Sir Mark Sykes of Great Britain and Francois-Georges Picot of France. It set up borders for areas that will be controlled by Great Britain and France. This color-coded map shows Great Britain B and France A. At the end of World War I, France and Great Britain quickly took control of the area, and orders based on the Sykes-Picot Treaty were approved by the League of Nations. These borders were just straight lines that did not take into account natural or political differences. Different languages, tribes, and religions were not considered. And for almost 100 years, anger, wars, and violence deeply divided the Middle East. Today, many problems in the Middle East can be traced back to the Sykes-Picot Agreement in 1916. Israel, the only Jewish-majority nation in the world, was established in 1948 using territory that the British then controlled, known as Palestine. When Israel was created, many Palestinians were displaced and felt their land was being stolen. This dispute led to several conflicts throughout the years. Currently, the Palestine territories are broken into the West Bank and Gaza. Major tensions also exist, particularly between Sunni-led Saudi Arabia and Shiite Iran. The issue is less how Muslims should observe their faith than who should have power. Saudi Arabia and Iran are arch rivals because of their Shiite-Sunni differences. Even the murderous Islamic State has a political purpose in attacking Shiites. The Arab Spring refers to the wave of pro-democracy protests that took place in the Middle East and North Africa in 2010 and 2011. They challenged some of the region's long-standing authoritarian governments, and many protesters expressing their concerns were met with violence from the government forces. In Tunisia, the government attempted to end this unrest. The president offered protests some of what they wanted, but also used violence. Protests soon became overwhelming, and Tunisian President Zine Ben Ali stepped down and fled the country. A democratically chosen president and prime minister then took office. Massive protests then broke out in Egypt, only days after Ben Ali left Tunisia. The Egyptian government tried using similar tactics as the Tunisian government, but they failed. The Egyptian army announced that it would refuse to use force against protesters. President Hosni Mubarak left office February 11th after nearly 30 years in power. The new military administration enjoyed high public approval. However, they appeared hesitant to begin a full transfer of power to an elected democratic government, and military forces resumed the use of violence against protesters. After a group called the Muslim Brotherhood won elections in 2012, many in the country were hopeful. However, newly elected President Mohamed Morsi faced a round of new protests a year later, and politician Abdel Fattah al-Sisi led a coup that removed Morsi from office, taking over the presidency for himself. Even though the situation in Egypt spiraled into chaos, many in the region saw this uprising as a success. Others around the Middle East were inspired. Between January and March 2011, protest movements took hold in Yemen, Bahrain, Libya, and Syria. However, these protests led to long, bloody struggles. In Syria, protests calling for the resignation of President Bashar al-Assad broke out in 2011. Assad responded with a brutal crackdown against protesters. This civil war between the government and protesters has gone on since 2011 and has led to mass destruction and a huge influx of refugees into the Middle East. Another effect of this unrest has been an exploitation by extremist groups, notably the Islamic State. Also known as Daesh, ISIL, or ISIS, this group's fighters have captured parts of Syria and Iraq and have fought with local governments and Sunni Muslims, as well as American and European troops. The Islamic State seeks to sow chaos in Arab countries in pursuit of its ultimate goal, an international Islamic nation, or caliphate, based solely on their misguided interpretation of Islam. Anyone who stands in their way, either a person or even a government, is destroyed. Fortunately, with the cooperation of the Syrian government and others in Europe and the United States, there has been noticeable defense against the spread of ISIS and their beliefs. This has been a World Cultures production.